Hello YouTube, coming at you from my phone in my garage. Still got a stuffy nose, so my voice sounds a little bit off. But today we're going to be doing a care guide for hacklemesh weavers, or Metaltella simoni, I believe how you pronounce their scientific name. I'm not very good at pronouncing scientific names, so don't judge me if I get it wrong. Sorry for the shaky camera footage, but it is from my phone, and I am handling a spider, so, you know. So I have four of these guys, three females and one male. This one is a female, and she is eating a pre-killed earwig right now. Which, yes, they do eat, they do take pre-killed. So that's always good, but it's recommended, obviously, for them. It depends really on the spider. Some of them probably won't take pre-killed. But let's show you some of the other ones. So this is the enclosure for my smallest. She will eventually have to get an upgrade to an enclosure about this size, where you can see her in there enjoying her meal. And this one is somewhere in there. You probably won't be able to see her. But yeah, she lives in here. Just give her some basic care, which I'll go over in a minute, but substrate, obviously, something to burrow under. And yeah, I also have this one, which I just got today, so the enclosure is not set up. This is by far the largest female that I have. Handling, not recommended. They can be somewhat aggressive. Not necessarily aggressive, but fast rather. So yeah, handling's not exactly recommended. It's kind of like taking care of a sac spider, except they have more tarantula-like behaviors. But speed-wise and bite-wise, it's kind of like taking care of woodlouse or sac spider. In here is my male. I don't know if you're able to see him, but he's right about there in the center of the screen, I'd say. I've zoomed in a decent bit, so the camera footage is a little bit grainy, but he's right there. These spiders are not very handleable. He just charged at me a little bit. I'm going to move my hands back. Once they get to this size as adult males, the males I have found tend to be a bit bigger than the females. But these guys the males will not eat as adults. Their sole purpose is to find a mate, to breed, and then they die. These guys are invasive where I'm from, so obviously I'm not going to let these guys breed and populate invasive species. The male right here is in a deli cup style enclosure. It's about that big. It's got a decent bit of substrate, as you can see. Care for these guys, like enclosure setup, pretty much the same as you would for a tarantula. A small tarantula sling, I should say. They don't get nearly as big as tarantulas. This is about full grown for a male, and as you can see, let me get my finger next to him, is not that big. So about an inch long maximum size. So for a juvenile to subadult, you're going to want an enclosure about this size, and for an adult, you're going to want an enclosure about this size. This is just a Tupperware container. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. I got this one from the Dollar Tree. And it's the same enclosure that I house my stone centipedes in, which are just a small centipede. If you want the care instructions for those, they are on my YouTube channel. So yeah, let's get into feeding for these guys. These guys are a predatory spider. They are going to, as all spiders are, they are going to prefer live food. They can take pre-killed, but giving them live foods is probably better for them. It simulates their natural behavior more. And what they'll do, they'll feed a lot like tarantulas or house spiders, where unfortunately I can't get it on video because I don't have any spare feeders right now. But what they'll do is they'll have this mesh sort of web, which you can probably kind of see in here, and then they'll have like their little hole that they have. And what they'll do when an insect falls into their little lair is they'll charge at it, and they'll grab it and they'll bring it into their hole. And this one doesn't have any. I'm going to be giving it some wood in here soon and some rocks so it can build more of that little lair. But at the current moment, it doesn't have that, so it doesn't exhibit that behavior. But naturally, I simply haven't had the time to give this spider the enclosure, that sort of enclosure. But naturally, that's what they do, and they're stimulated by the web being shaken. Sort of like my shaky camera footage, because I can't hold my hand still whatsoever. But yeah, that's basically that. Feed them crickets, mealworms, earwigs, flies will even work. Just nothing too big that will destroy their webbing, and that they won't be able to eat. And then nothing too small, like fruit flies don't really work for these guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it for feeding. So we've gone over feeding, housing. Mist these guys every few days. Just make sure that the soil stays moist. That's probably the most important thing for them. Having moist soil. They do come from South America. So they are a tropical, subtropical species. They are not a cold weather species. Which is why they do really well in places like South America, and where they can, South California, Southern California, where they are invasive and they do a decent bit of damage to local populations of other spiders. So in order to get these guys, you can simply look under rocks. Like, I'll show you how easy it is. There's one where I know the location of. I'll show you right now. So I've got these in my backyard. This is where I found it earlier. So let me just see if it's still here. It's not here, but you just lift up rocks. Literally flip a couple of rocks and you will find some. I checked here earlier and I scared off the other one. It ran into the crack right there. But yeah, that's literally as easy as it is to find them. Just lift rocks and then yoink them. You can just take a container like this and then just spook them in there. It's super simple to catch these guys. Okay, for their setup, you're going to want to take an enclosure appropriately sized. For now, I'm just setting up a temporary enclosure for the one that I just got today. Take some garden soil, drop it in there. Doesn't need to be that much, just enough. So that's probably good. Get some wood chips or stones. This one looks pretty cool, so I'm going to take this one. And I will take this one. So just take some wood chips, stones, preferably 2 to 3, maybe more if you have a larger enclosure. Just pop in the wood chips like this. Here, let me put in the smaller ones first. I think that'll be good. Right there, that gives her some room to hide under the rocks and the wood chip. Now you're just going to want to take your spider, gently, carefully introduce her. There she goes. And lid on. Just like that. It's pretty simple to set these guys up. Where is she? She's right there. They can't really climb up slick surfaces, but I still do recommend a lid, obviously. And then, obviously, enough air holes for them to be able to breathe. For an enclosure this size, I recommend 5 to 6 air holes. She will build her web, and they function a lot like miniature house spiders. Or sorry, not house spiders. They function a lot like small tarantulas or crevice spiders. Like you'll see these guys sort of like southern house spiders and stuff like that. So this has been the care guide for the Metaltella simoni, I believe is how you pronounce their name. I'll put a something on how to pronounce their name in the video. But these are the hacklemesh weavers. I do not recommend breeding them unless you have a sustainable way to give them to other hobbyists or to release them into the wild in an area where they are native. Obviously, don't release the slings, but release the egg sac. That's pretty much it for their care. Pretty simple, just a lot like small tarantulas. Just keep them like a southern house spider, except smaller version. So yeah, setup, feeding, tank size, all of that. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm not going to go over breeding due to the fact that they are invasive in most parts of the world, where, especially in areas with a lot of spider keepers. And I don't want these guys to be irresponsibly bred. But yeah, so for the most part, that's how you care for them. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.